State lawmakers in Colorado have been pushing for a bill that would legalize prostitution. The proposed bill would repeal the state's criminal offenses related to sex work, including soliciting, owning, or controlling a place specifically for prostitution. It also would allow for someone in Colorado to pay a sex worker.
It's just kind of strange, you know, the things that keep on going through these state legislatures. The bill now finally has been pulled with its sponsors because they said, yeah, we don't think we may have enough votes in the legislature, but they could reintroduce it again next year. Gabe Evans is a Colorado congressman, and it just is a little surprising when we start to see these sort of out there bills come up. Where does this come from?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on. My background before I got to Congress, I was a police officer in the Denver metro area for 10 years. And so, unfortunately, I've seen with my own eyes that radical Democrats and their far left base are all in on open borders, defunding the police, and pro-criminal policies. We see it in Colorado every day. We're one of 5 states in the country where fentanyl overdose death rates are going up, because Democrats that are in control in Colorado, they don't like cops. They are pushing pro-crime policies, and this prostitution push is just the latest in horrible policies that are going to make it easier for criminals and criminal enterprises to grow in their power in Colorado.
Right. And so let's just show the argument for legalizing sex workers or prostitution. One of the sponsors of the bill, that's Colorado State Senator Lisa Cutter, says this would have protected sex workers. In fact, during a hearing on the bill, she said it would reduce sex trafficking overall. Watch this.
This legislation is not about making sex trafficking or sexual coercion easier. All reasonable people can agree that sex trafficking is one of the most vile criminal acts. In fact, data from around the world suggests that this approach can actually help deter trafficking by allowing sex workers to speak without fear of reprisal and by freeing up resources to prosecute real perpetrators.
I'm just trying to connect the dots of why they can't speak before or why they would be able to now. That I'm sure they would face the same threats that they would be under now being trafficked. How does she arrive at that logic? I know I'm asking you to speculate. You can't get in her mind, but that seems to be the argument.
Oh, I don't want to be in her mind. That's a scary place to be. Here's what I can tell you. This is why I mentioned the drug thing. This was the exact same argument that the Democrats made when they weakened drug laws in Colorado. And now, again, our fentanyl overdose death rates are going up in the state. So if you legalize sex work in Colorado, we know who drives this. It's the big cartels and organized gangs. Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan prison gang. This is like a core part of their business model. But when the laws around sex trafficking are weakened, that makes it harder for police officers, like I was for 10 years. It makes it harder for us to develop the reasonable suspicion or the probable cause to even get these investigations going. And then the result of that is it's harder for us to start an investigation into Tren de Aragua or any of the other organized criminal enterprises that are literally trafficking human beings for sex work. And we can see in Colorado how badly the state is already doing when it comes to protecting victims of sex crimes. The clearance rate is how often these crimes get solved. In Colorado, the clearance rate in 2025 for sexual assault or sexual crimes is 21%.
Right.
79% of victims of sex assaults in Colorado will not get justice because of how Democrats have weakened the laws and weakened the investigation in this space. This is down double-digit clearance rate from just a few years ago.
Yeah, you know, when right now, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, has been speaking before congressional committee and going through the assessment, the threat assessment against the United States. And one of the things that comes up in the intelligence community report this year is the continuing threat from human trafficking. And that is such a huge problem. It has been growing. And so when you take these gangs who control most of the sex trafficking, having it legal all of a sudden is then just allowing people to then set up fake legal businesses to, again, continue trafficking and making money off of young women or men. It doesn't seem like it really stops that problem.
No, it absolutely doesn't. What it does do is it makes it harder for the police to develop the reasonable suspicion or the probable cause to even begin an investigation, because when the laws are weakened, when this becomes more pervasive in our society, then the cops have to differentiate between legal sex work and illegal sex work, and there will be so many investigations that never even get started in the first place, which means there's going to be we won't even know how many victims will be trafficked and subject to this horror because we couldn't even get the investigation started because we weren't able to meet the legal criteria to begin that investigation when the laws around sex work are, in this case, effectively abolished.
Well, hopefully it has been put to an end for this.
They pulled the bill.
Yeah, they pulled it this time. Let's hope this does not come back up. But Colorado Congressman Gabe Evans, we appreciate your time talking to us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
To be on with you.
To be a fly on the wall.